State of New California Notice to all Californians. Chapter 2, Grievance 91. New California is a new state in development exercising its constitutional right to form from the state of California. The process to form New California is authorized and codified in Article 4, Section 3 and 4 of the United States Constitution. Statement of intent. The citizens of New California have decided to remedy the abuse of power by the government of California by exercising their right to form a new state provided in the United States Constitution, Article 4, Sections 3 and Sections 4. We are determined to live under a state government in the United States of America and under the Constitution of the United States. New California Declaration of Independence of January 15, 2018 states, whenever any form of government becomes destructive in its rights of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government. When long train of abuses and acts to seize and hold people's power without legal authority and pursuing invariably the same object that clearly demonstrates a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
Preamble of the New California State Constitution states, "We, the representatives of the undersigned counties within the state of California, do acknowledge and humbly invoke the favor of Almighty God for continued civil and religious liberty to ourselves and our posterity." First Amendment of the United States Constitution states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution states, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched, and the persons or things to be seized." New California. The new California state is a new state in development forming from the state of California. New California state is exercising its God-given rights as declared in the 1776 United States Declaration of Independence and is ratified in the 1789 United States Constitution under Article 4, Section 3.
State of New California, Grievance 91. Declaration of Grievance Statement of Facts. The people of California are suffering from a tyrannical state government which fails to provide a Republican form of governance, enables and supports across its southern border the invasion of the United States of America by illegal foreign nationals, and protects vicious criminals who commit outrageous acts of violence upon the citizens of America, all caused by a government of and for a mono-party system led by a tyrannical dictator who openly defies federal law. California state violates United States Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, United States Constitution, Article 6, First Amendment, United States Constitution, 14th Amendment, United States Constitution.
Order of the day. Stop pure evil. Evil in the province of California. Some would argue there is nothing worth in the world than slavery. Visions of black people being bought and sold by slave brokers in Africa and then being shipped all over the world as property to work under horrific conditions until death immediately comes to mind. Then there are those that say in America in 1861, a great civil war was fought between the North and the South, and President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation and all slaves were freed. In 2022, the issue of modern slavery is now front and center. You see, slavery never went away after Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The proclamation was just another paper signed by an American president. Slavery continued on in the world and even flourished with slave traders reaping enormous profits. Today, as we watch the invasion along the southern border, we see hundreds of thousands of slaves being trafficked that have been bought and sold by slave brokers in other countries, streaming into the nonprofit religious organizations here into the province of California. These brokers are reaping billions of dollars to provide essential services to the welcome slaves. The trafficking of slaves into the province of California is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, an insidious form of slave sales was exposed as the unaccompanied minors who are bought and sold in their own countries and shipped into the province of California and placed into government agencies to be sold to the highest bidder. Yet there are even more insidious evils where high-valued children slaves from helpless newborns to 17-year-olds who are trafficked from all around the world for sex into the province of California. Some trafficked children are even resold and redistributed to other countries in Europe and Asia. There is nothing more evil in the land, any land, than child sex trafficking. One would agree that most horrific of all forms is the sex trafficking of newborns, and yet the province of California has been one of the largest suppliers around the world.
In an article in the New York Times from December 27, 2012, Moscow, President Vladimir V. Putin signed a bill on Friday that bans the adoption of Russian children by American citizens, dealing a serious blow to an already strained diplomatic relationship. The bill was approved unanimously by the Federation Council, the upper chamber of Parliament, on Wednesday, and on Thursday, Mr. Putin said he would sign it, as well as a resolution also adopted Wednesday that calls for the improvements in Russia's child welfare program. Quote, "I intend to sign the law," unquote, Mr. Putin said Thursday, as, quote, "as well as the presidential decree changing the procedure of helping orphan children left without parental care, and especially children who are in a disadvantageous situation due to their health problems," unquote. President Putin recognized the dangers to children in his own country, unlike so many East European leaders who profited from the child sex trafficking of newborns into the province of, quote-unquote, the Providence of California. Providence of California. In late November of 2016, papers were delivered to the incoming president of the United States by the Russians that outlined in detail the individuals behind the child sex trafficking rings into the, quote, Providence of California from Russia. In an article from Hal Turner's show on January 17, 2022, quote, "Russia expels diplomats and other staff from U.S. Embassy, Moscow," unquote. Russia is starting to expel diplomats and other staff from the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, tells staff, quote, "and take your rainbow flags with you," unquote. Russia is supposed to recall its diplomats from the USA on January 31st. It appears they moved up the timetable. Historically, expelling embassy staff is one of the last things you do before a major conflict.
In New California State, we echo the thoughts, convictions, principles, and ideas of the founders of the United States of America. We will retain our humanity, our natural and unalienable rights, and our autonomy, free from the shackles of slavery to any form of government. Insurrection. The government of California, the current socialist governor dictator, and monoparty system, along with the local officials, are following a coordinated design with the intent to actively engage in, quote, acts of insurrection, end quote, against the United States Constitution. The Insurrection Act of 1807 and the Emergency Economic Powers Act are United States federal laws that govern the ability of the President of the United States to deploy military troops within the United States to put down lawlessness, insurrection, and rebellion. Acts of secession. The California government, in conjunction with the socialist state executive, instituted wherever the current socialist governor dictator has usurped power, has actively engaged in, quote and unquote, acts of secession, and have created a reign of terror on United States citizens living in California with the intent to secede from the United States of America, to thus destroy the very union of states which secures our liberty and freedoms. Abdication of authority. Betrayal by the sitting socialist governor-dictator of California, the monoparty legislature, and the local elected officials is evidence of, quote and unquote, abdication of their responsibilities of authority and sovereignty over citizens of the United States living in California State. New California State is the answer to limiting the runaway power of the corrupt bureaucracy of tyranny, surveillance, oppression, and control by the moneyed interests of supranational corporations, Nazi cartels, and communist China. Prayer. The citizens of the New California State pray for the military to exercise its authority under the continuity of government and the Insurrection Act of 1807 to initiate the military's use of martial law and create and restore government of California as requested by New California State to end the tyranny being foisted upon the United States of America. This concludes these proceedings, and for more information, please go to newcaliforniastate.com, newcaliforniastate.com.